Good morning. The Committee on Parole is called back to order. Today's date is October the 20th of 2022. The time is 10:49. Our remote location this morning is Tensaw. Would the staff at Tensaw please introduce themselves?
Lieutenant Beppo.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Okay.
The members of the panel today are Mr. Alvin Roche, Mr. Pete Friedman. My name is Tony Marabella. I'll be acting as chair today. Our first case is going to be Mr. Jason Duhe, or Duhe. How do you pronounce your name, Mr. Duhe?
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 Yes.
Mr. Duhe, let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then the board is going to conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, we will allow the participants who've indicated they wish to speak to have their input. Currently, you have your brother, who is David Duhe, is present, but I don't believe he's asked to speak. Your mother, Ms. Charlotte Duhe, is present and has requested to speak. You're represented by Mr. Kevin Christensen. Mr. Christensen, if you would introduce yourself for the record, please.
Yes, sir. Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Kevin Christensen, and I represent Mr. Duhe.
Thank you very much. This matter is Mr. Jason T. Duhe. Date of birth is August the 3rd of 1974. He's classified as a third felony offender. He has a parole eligibility date of August the 13th of 2015. An adjusted good time date of May the 15th of 2027, and a full term date of August 13th, 2027. He is currently serving a 16-year sentence for operation of a clandestine lab, having been adjudicated a habitual offender. Mr. Duhe, is that basically correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
It's your case. Yes. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Pete Friedman. Mr. Friedman will begin our interview process. Would you please answer any questions he may have?
How old are you, Mr. Duhe?
48,
Okay, how long have you served on this 16-year sentence?
11 years.
Okay. What is your educational level?
9th grade.
Okay. Have you tried to get your high set since you've been in jail?
Yes, sir. I tried at Blackburn jail before I came to Tensaw, and I didn't. I failed. Well, first they passed. They said nobody got a better grade than them. I tried several times, but I failed. I tried like 5 or 6 times to get my GED, and like I said,
At least you tried.
yes, sir.
All right, tell me a little bit about what happened. What were y'all doing to get a busted on this job?
I was staying at the budget motel room in Bogalusa, and before then I stayed with my mom. I was staying at the Budget Inn, and I was going to get me some sinus medicine for my allergies because I went from Central Air and Heat, and we lived on 1104 Avenue J, and I moving there with my mom's boyfriend, so we sold a house. We moved to my mom's boyfriend's house in Franklin Pine, which he had window units, and then we got into like a misunderstanding. Got a misunderstanding, so I ended up staying in the motel room, and going in the motel room for every day for 2 years straight was just about. I got allergies because it was window use too. It was summertime. It was like 100 degrees weather, and going in and going and fixing the TV. After they clean, fixing the TV where you can sit on the bed and see it, because the TV swiveled and it was turned to the angle. So like I said, going in and out, I got allergies. So I got some sinus. A guy down the room, he had got some prescribed sinus medicine. He said you can go to the pharmacy and get a box, and he gave me one and knocked my sinuses out. Because at the time I was my runny nose, I was steadily wiping my nose with my undershirt. And like I said, I got some I went to get some sinus medicine because there was nothing out there in town. So I'm going to start getting a ride and run into a guy at the motel room, because he went down there to get his son. He said before, and I asked him to give me a ride because I had no ride. So he got a guy Jimmy Catchings. I ran against Jimmy Catchings. I ran into him and gave me got a ride called up Sky Hatcher. Yeah, Sky Hatcher, because he had a way of going and gave us a ride down to Slidell. And the deal was, I told him to come because we had tried before, and then with his wife and Jimmy's wife or baby's mom or whoever it was. I got him. I told him before we leave this room, I want to have everything straightened. That nobody gets out the car. Let me go in there, get my sinus medicine, and we can go get us something to eat. I'll buy us something to eat and bring me back to Bogalusa, to bring me back to my room. And I will give you $25 for your time, for your gas and trouble, for your time. All right, everybody, they agreed. We get down there, as soon as we park, Jimmy jumps out the car, goes in the Walmart pharmacy, gets in the pharmacy line, and gets sinus medicine. He's already got out before I got out. I was drinking, so I was in the back seat. I wasn't driving. I was in the back seat drinking. I admit that. And like I said, I finished drinking, sipping my beer, and when I got out, I went to the Walmart pharmacy. I asked the lady, the lady that walked in the Walmart store where the pharmacy was. She told me it's to the left. I got in line, I went to the pharmacy. I asked the pharmacy for some Sudafed. He asked me what kind. I told him. I gave my driver's license. He asked me what kind. What kind. I gave him. I told him name brand. I bought it. Went back to the car. Got back in the back seat. I set my sinus pills down. First, I set them on my right side. Then I started thinking, well, I met it last time when we tried when we got around. He rode with me. They were trying to steal them, so I put them on my left, and I think I started thinking that. I started thinking, well, I give them the benefit of having trust there, so I put them back on my right side and just tucked them in. That's what it was. They wanted to put them on my left side.
Get to the part when you got arrested.
All right, when we got arrested, I was drinking my beer because I was drinking my beer. I got my beer I still had left over. He steals my sign. He steals my Sudafed. And he pops them out the pack. And the detectives behind us, because when I was drinking, I seen them in the mirror, in the mirror on the windshield. I seen the red light where the video camera was. And I seen the guy. They had their badge on their flannel jackets. I seen the star on the jacket. I just told him, I was like, you got me open container. I'm right here. No, you can rest. I admit my mistake. Well, when I was drinking my beer, like the guy Jimmy reaches over and stole them, and he's popping them out the pack into a bag. So they pulled up behind us. They arrested. Said, we've been watching this guy Jimmy Catchings for a while because he's been coming to the store like 6 days a week. I was like, all I know, I met him at the motel room. I asked him to give me a ride to go give me some sinus medicine for my sinuses. Because I got down a couple rooms down and gave him one of his, and then knocked him right on out. I took one, and then knocked my sinuses out, and I was clear. I wouldn't sneeze, I wouldn't wipe my nose, no nothing. And
Okay, so then they arrested you, right?
yes, sir.
And charged you with operation of clandestine lab.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right now and tell you if you're not gonna tell me the truth, I'm not gonna ask you many questions. You got a long drug history, and you're gonna tell me you just went to get sinus pills with a guy that admitted y'all was selling the sinus pills for people to make meth out of.
No, he was admitted he was selling his sinus.
So you trying to tell me you had nothing to do with meth, you wasn't buying pills to make meth, nothing of that sort. So you got a 16-year sentence for buying sinus meth.
Because I was my third felony. They charged me as a third felony.
Okay. Let's move on. Have you ever received any treatment for drugs?
Yes, sir.
Okay, where have you received this treatment?
The Southeastern Hospital in Mandeville.
Okay. How long a treatment was it?
I stayed there 2 months.
Do you consider yourself a drug addict?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you think you need long-term drug treatment?
No, sir.
Let's look at your criminal history. You got arrested with possession with intent to distribute marijuana. You were put on probation for that. You had minor violations. And a second-degree battery charge was dropped, and you completed that probation. Then you got a DWI. Your probation was terminated on that. And you got an aggravated battery. Later pled to simple battery. This probation was revoked due to subsequent crimes. Then you had attempted possession of a firearm by a convicted felon. You got 7.5 years DOC, suspended 5 years probation. You completed that probation successfully. You were sentenced to 30 days in the city jail, and that probation also expired successfully. You got a misdemeanor charge, but they didn't revoke it. You also had 6 months in city jail, and you got put on 90 days probation, 1 year probation, and that expired successfully. Tell me what happened at Rayburn when you had your Rule 10 violation for fighting. What went on with that?
Yeah, the guy, I was sitting on my Foot Locker, and he came up to me, and when he got it at an angle, and he had his, he had his private part right there in my face, and I asked him if he would move to the side. You know, you got your private part right there in my face, and I'm trying to get up, and you're sitting there trying to talk, and I ain't trying to talk. And he ended up getting smart with me, and like I said, he swung at me. He swung at me first, and he thought, I think he swung, and I think he hit me, and I hit him back, and that's which is self-defense. And like I said, that's what that was about. Though he was sitting there, he had his private part there in front of my face, and I'm trying to get off the locker. You're not supposed to sit on your Foot Locker, but I got permission from the guards, because I just need to, I've been in car wrecks and stuff, and I need to sit down. And he said, as long as you just sit down maybe a minute, and that's fine. Don't sit there 3 or 4 minutes. Sit there maybe 3 or 4 minutes at the most and get up. Don't sit there all day long.
Okay, so you hit him because y'all got hit, and he swung at you first.
He swung and hit me first, and I defended myself. Yeah.
Okay. You have a judge that's unopposed. You have a DA and a sheriff that are opposed. I already stated you have a very long criminal history. You have been revoked before when you were on supervision. What is your transition plan? Where you gonna live and where you gonna work?
I plan on living with my mom and her boyfriend. I hope they got married. And Frank and Pine, and work. Like I said, the paperwork that said I've been in jail. I don't know if they found me a job or not. But like I said, work. I could try to work. I think I'm really disabled to work, because all this being transferred from Covington all the way to Williamsboro, all the way down to Rayburn more than twice, like a ping pong ball. And like I said, that I can try to work anywhere.
Okay. What about a sobriety plan? What are you gonna do for a sobriety plan? Stay sober.
I get prescribed medicine now. I get prescribed diazepam, which helps me keep my nerve, keeps me my nerves normal and everything. And like I said, I've been in jail 11 years, so I really don't need no alcohol or anything. Like I said, I got prescribed medicine.
Okay. You have a low risk. Is the warden in there or someone from the jail?
There's a guard. I don't know what her rank is.
Ask her to come, please.
Can you come?
I don't know anything about his behavior, because I don't come in contact with him. I just do court.
Okay, so you don't know how he's been performing since he's been there.
Let me get someone that would know, okay? I'll be right back.
Yeah. Well, now we'll ask them when they get back. Why should I take a chance on you? You think you will be able to stay straight?
Yes, sir, but that, and I got unborn kids out there, and I got kids that, you know, I want to take care of. Like I said, that's what's really got me, because it was a mistrial to begin with. And I've been found not guilty in the Court of Appeals. And like I said, the Supreme Court was untimely. That's what gets me. And everything, I sent the paperwork to my attorney and the parole people, to the Office of Parole a long time ago. Like my mom said, she called down there and she said y'all had everything. And I even took risk substance abuse class, graduated with it September the 17th of this year, 2022. And
Okay. I have. No, I can't back.
Mr. Roche?
Mr. Duhe,
yes,
good
sir.
morning. Good morning.
Morning.
You've been incarcerated for 11 years, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Give me a list of good time programs that you've completed in 11 years.
Risk management. That's all I got. I tried getting my GED. I failed. And this is the only class I was able to get was risk management, which is like substance abuse.
Mr. Duhe, you have at least 7, maybe 6 or 7 arrests for some type of assault or battery. You have an anger management problem. And you have not taken anger management. You have not taken thinking for a change. You have not taken 100 hours pre-release. And until you take some of those programs with your anger management problem, I can't vote to release you. You have a problem that you have not taken care of.
That's why I asked y'all. My mom said she called and asked y'all, only class do I need to take is substance abuse. And they told my mom, said, yeah, that's all you said. That's all that y'all said that I need to take.
Okay, well, but whoever answered that question didn't know your criminal record.
Yes, yes, sir. Like I said, I sent my rap sheet. Like I said, I gave my DOC number, social security number. I said, look it up.
Okay, but in 11 years, you completed one program. That's unacceptable.
Like I said, I didn't find out because I said that I was eligible to make parole in 2018 when I was at Rayburn. The inmate lawyer wrote y'all and asked for to grant me. And
Okay, well, what I'm saying is I read your disciplinary right up in 2019, and it stated that you hit a man in the face without revocation. You just told Mr. Freeman he swung at you first, and then he swung back. But the write-up says you hit him in the face without any revocation at all. So you have an anger management problem, and you need to take care of it. Mr. Chairman?
Thank you, Mr. Roche.
Let's see, we got a jail.
We have someone in there now that can tell us a little bit from staff about Mr. Dewey.
Yes, sir. How you doing today?
Doing very well, thank you. What
Okay,
can you tell us about Mr. Dewey and his progress while he's been with you guys?
Okay, since he's been at Chenshaw, sir, we never had any problem out of him. Sometimes you don't know that he's in the dorm. He's very quiet. He mostly we go in the dorm, make rounds. He mostly to himself, and or is he reading some type of material, a book or something that we don't have no problem out of it.
Good. Thank you very much, sir. What's your name, sir?
I'm Lieutenant Guys.
Lieutenant, thank you very much for your comments.
Yes, sir.
Now we'll hear from Ms. Charlotte Dewey. Ms. Dewey, are you present? Are you on Zoom with us?
She is, gentlemen, she's a little bit unfamiliar with the technology, so she may be having a few minutes to try to.
Okay, we'll try to help her out if we can.
Looks like she's unmuted, gentlemen.
Ms. Dewey, Ms. Charlotte Dewey? Ms. Dewey, can you hear us?
I don't think she can hear you.
No, that's all.
That's the Lord.
Let me see if I can get her on the telephone while. I don't know if she can talk to me while she's on Zoom, but let me see if I can get her.
Okay.
Sir, we're trying to call her right now.
Oh, okay, very good.
Ms. Dewey, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Wait, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you good.
Okay, Ms. Dewey, we're getting a feedback. Could you have your Zoom open too?
I'm sorry.
We're hearing ourselves twice.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Ms. Dewey, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Ms. Dewey, if you would introduce yourself and tell us what you'd like us to know about your son.
My name is Charlotte Dewey. Yeah, my son, Jason Dewey, yeah. I just want to be able to, help him any way I can to guide him and stay on the right path of what he's doing. And be supportive to him all the time. And let him know that, my door is always open to him when he needs me. I would think maybe if he could get into a halfway house, that would be good for him.
Does that mean you think maybe he needs some drug treatment or?
I just think to me, he could get out right now. He needs to be somewhere yet to where he would be in a place to get himself back to in the environment, and to socialize more with the public. But I think the halfway house would be good for him to lead him and stay with his when he had a drug problem.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dewey. We appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Mr. Christensen, at this point, I would ask Mr. Dewey if he has anything to say and then let you close. Is that how you want to handle this?
We can, however you like, gentlemen, is fine with me.
Okay.
Whatever the board's preference is all right with me.
Okay, Mr. Dewey, is there anything you'd like to say to the board before we turn it over to Mr. Christensen to make a close for you?
Yes, sir. On my paperwork I sent y'all, on my rap sheet, and I was talking about having write-ups and stuff. On my paperwork, like in the state of Rayburn, they told me that was self-defense, and that was thrown out because I got no write-ups on nonviolent. All of my papers got all on there. It says, like I said, it says on nonviolent, no write-ups. And I'll say to myself, like the guard said, I've been doing it for 11 years, having to do paperwork, writing, doing legal work, trying to get myself, because I've had, I don't know how many attorneys, I can count at least, I know at least 6 attorneys that I've tried, they couldn't do their job like they're supposed to. And I'm glad I was introduced to Mr. Christian, which we've been so far, we're doing good. But like I said, I've been transferred. This is my 14th jail I've been to since I've been in jail, at least twice, like a ping pong ball, back and forth. And the last 3-4 jails I spent with value when I was at Plaquemine for the hurricane, but you just say 10 jails. And like I said, I don't do anything but mind my business. That's all I do. All that things like that sexual battery, is self-defense. It's just that's and drink that DWI. I passed it. If you look at the record back in 1998, that's when I got arrested. I passed it with .098. Back then it was 0.1. I was in the New Orleans courthouse, and I was with my cousin. He got me to say, ended up saying, pleading, yeah, because he wanted me to hang and keep him out of trouble. You can go to work. We helping us get him go to job, get to work, and stay like I did. Like I said, I worked with Harmony Construction out of Baton Rouge, the Exxon plant. I worked with, before then, he worked with B&K Construction. I worked at Walmart. I worked at Fred's. I worked with my kin people at the floorboard shop, Tasty Clean. I worked all my life. I even worked for the Gencos at the fireworks stand. I don't have a bad reputation. I mean, like I said, I'm not a bad person at all. And it's just people, I took karate when I was little. I learned self-defense. And like I said, you only can take so much. Somebody puts your finger in your face and it hits you, punches you too. You're not going to sit there and like, oh man, and just, being locked up minutes out of year, you can try so much, but you only can take so much. Because the only thing to do is, you see, if I wasn't clean, if I wasn't got a shape, I ain't trying to say anything, but I've got gray hairs, but just much as you, and I'm only 48 years old. I shouldn't have gray hairs. I shouldn't have none at all. But like I said, my baby, one of my baby's mamas put me through molestation, went to court for 8 years, got beat it. It got thrown out because her people work for the state. Like I said, I'm not a bad person. Like I said, if you look at my write-ups, look at my records, I ain't got no write-ups. That was self-defense. They told me that was dismissed. That was thrown away. People at Rayburn probably mad at me because that Lieutenant Miller got something out for me because he had a guy in a chair that needed to be pushed, and he nominated me to push him. I told him I wouldn't push him to begin with because I was hurt. That dude weighed 225 pounds.
All right, Mr. Dewey, anything else you'd like to say? Let's wrap it up so we can get to your lawyer.
Like I said, you could. Like I said, I want to go I want to take care of my kids, and like I said, I can go stay with my uncle. I can go stay with somebody, even my brother. I can get a permission slip for my PO if I get probation, and get it transferred to live with my brother. Like I did when I was 16. When mom went to work, went over to Virgin Islands to an old man with work at our work. Like I said, that's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get out and take care of my kids like a man's supposed to.
I hear you. Thank you, Mr. Dewey. Mr. Christensen, ready to close out?
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I understand the board's desire to speak directly to Mr. Dewey and talk to him. You know, he has a ninth grade education. He's from a rural area in Louisiana. His criminal history, well, it started with a marijuana conviction, and then he had a felon with a firearm. But the firearm was a 410 shotgun. I don't know if the record reflects that. And you know, in a rural area, a 410 shotgun is for varmints. It's a varmint gun. He's one of the board members suggested that he has an anger management problem, but he's been in 11 years. And as what I heard from the board, these records I don't have, but it's one incident, and it's not a recent incident. In his current facility, you heard the lieutenant say that he's been no trouble at all. He keeps to himself. He reads. He's 48 years old, and he's only been to the ninth grade. What he has, though, going for him is that he has a very, very supportive family. His mother has been very supportive. When I first was retained to represent Mr. Dewey, he was at Plaquemine. After most of his procedural legal matters had already gone their course. At Plaquemine, he had difficulty, to address one of the board's concerns, he had difficulty getting into any classes at all. As the board heard, he tried on repeated occasions to get his GED, but he couldn't do it. But it isn't from lack of trying, it's because he couldn't do it. Because he has some cognitive issues that I think the board can recognize when they speak to him that are no fault of his. But the last thing he's convicted of is basically purchasing one box of 20 12-hour Sudafeds. That's what he did, purchased them legally, not repeat purchases. There was one prior to that one. It was 23 days, I believe, before this one. And he got a lot of time because he has a criminal record, but he's done 11 years for buying a box of Sudafed, gentlemen. He's not violent. He's certainly not violent in his current facility, but he doesn't have a violent history. He has a supportive family, and he's the kind of person I think that the board should, in fact, Charlotte's right, that he should go to a halfway house because he's been in jail for 11 years. So he needs to be able to transition from living in incarcerated environment to an environment where he can go back into society, go get a job and work for a living and see his children. He does have a long criminal history, gentlemen, but if you look at it closely, he's not a violent person. He's not convicted of a violent crime. He may have some addiction issues when he went into the facility, but he doesn't seem to have any at the current time. And I think Charlotte's right. If you release him to a halfway house where he can learn to work again and learn to integrate into society and be monitored by people with his family connections, I think he's the kind of person you should take a risk on. You know, it's difficult for people like Mr. Dewey. It's difficult for people like Mr. Dewey with cognitive issues in life. You know, and lots of things we presume that people understand, they don't really understand. And you can tell from some of your colloquy today that Mr. Dewey doesn't quite understand how best to portray himself for the board. So I have known him now only through for a fairly limited time, but I can tell you that his mother calls me at least twice to 3 times to 4 times a month, at the least, to talk about her son. She's very supportive of him. She talks to him, I think, now daily at Tensa. I just think the board should look at his intellectual and schooling background, look at the lieutenant at his current facility, listen to what they say. They say he keeps to himself. He's not a troublemaker. He just reads, and take a chance on him. Take a chance on taking him off of state support and putting him on his own support so that he can become a useful member of society now. He is 48 years old. He doesn't need to be in jail anymore, gentlemen. It doesn't benefit anyone if he's in jail. He's not the kind of person that that is a risky person. He's not convicted of a violent offense. He's basically convicted of having a pack of Sudafed in the wrong place. And whether that's should be a crime or shouldn't be a crime, it isn't violent. Possession of a .410 shotgun, isn't violent. It's understandable for anyone who's got a country background. And his marijuana offense is pretty old now. So he has had a substance abuse problem in the past, but we can address that in a halfway house. He has a supportive family environment. He's the kind of person I believe the board should take a chance on him so that he can transition from prison to a viable life. And I think the judge, you said at the beginning, agreed, doesn't oppose him being transitioned. I think the state opposes it as a matter of course. But if you look behind the lines for this gentleman and think about the way he's interacted with you today, you can see that his cognitive abilities shouldn't be held against him. He should be given an opportunity that a person who is maybe more well-spoken or more able to complete GEDs and do school-like things, that should be held against him, gentlemen. And I ask you that based on my experience with him, I think he would be a good candidate for you to give him an opportunity to get out of prison and to go see his family. And I very much appreciate your time, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Chris. Appreciate your comments. Family ready to vote?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Freeman?
I've listened to everything that's been said. Bottom line to me, Mr. Dewey, is you're not told the truth. You've been purchasing Sudafed over at that Walmart. You were getting $30 a box for it, as one of your co-defendants stated. And yet you just don't, I'm talking. Then you refuse. I came in here today to offer you treatment and DOC and then parole, but you refused it. You don't need it. You say you don't need it. Well, I think you do need it. And I think, yeah, it wasn't a violent crime. We had a non-violent crime this morning, but somebody ended up dead over it, and somebody can end up dead over this too, if he doesn't get his life straight. So my vote today is to deny.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mr. O'Shea?
Mr. Dewey, based upon a lack of rehabilitative programs, strong opposition from the DA's office, opposition from law enforcement, you need additional programs, and I'm going to recommend, so you can get into these programs, 100 hours pre-release. That will give you some information on how to transition back into society after being incarcerated. You need anger management. You need thinking for a change. And you need some additional substance abuse treatment. For all those reasons, I deny your request.
Thank you, Mr. O'Shea. Mr. Dewey, you have 2 votes to deny your parole. Your parole has been denied today. I'm going to suggest that you try to get in as many programs as you possibly can. I don't think, let me finish. I heard everything everybody said. Yes, you've got some learning disabilities. You've got some issues that have prevented you from being able to get GED and do a lot of other things. I am convinced that you are a drug addict. I don't think you recognize that. Once a drug addict, you're always a drug addict. You're going to have to come to grips with that. And the only way to come to grips with that is to be able to understand your disease and understand how to treat it. You need some long-term drug treatment. Are you a bad person? Absolutely not. I'm not suggesting that you are. You seem to be a fine young man. You seem to have a good family. You certainly got great support, but you're a young man with a disease. And until you accept that and realize that, you're going to have problems. You're going to get out in the next 3-4 years, regardless of what you do. But once you get back out, you got a lot of years to live. If you continue on your addiction, you're going to find yourself in jail for a long, long time. So I hope you take advantage of this. I know you're disappointed. I'd like to see you get into some treatment, taking some of the courses Mr. Roche has suggested, perhaps trying to get into some long-term drug rehabilitation program. There are people there in prison that can help you with your education. So that's our vote today. Good luck to you.
Can I ask you a question?
Well, I don't know if I can answer it, but I'll try.
All right. Remember, am I eligible to go back in front of y'all again or no? Like I said, I've asked, because my mom asked, he called y'all and asked y'all, do I need to take any other classes? That's what.
Mr. Dewey, you have been denied today. There are legal requirements that you have to go through before you can apply again. So good luck to you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Hi, Mr. Christian.
Wow. I gotta tell you, that attorney was impressive. He had an uphill battle, and he basically, he basically convinced me until the board put me back on track. Man, that guy is he is impressive, and he really was. It really was. He convinced me because I was pretty enraged and I was going to go in this whole rant. And then I was like, wow, he makes a lot of good points. But there was no way he was going to win that fight. It started off just as bad as it can get. And I tried as it came out, like I just said, I'm not going to judge a book by its cover, right? But it's pretty amazing. It really looks like he's coming straight off the street, straight off of a meth fueled binge. And he's actually been locked up for 11 years on a 16-year sentence. And that is pretty incredible. That's what meth can do to you. It's interesting that he said, like, the whole story. I didn't know where they were going with the allergy medicine. I was just how it started off. I'm like, where is it going? I didn't realize that that's what I'm so naive that's what you buy to create meth, and it's obviously that's what he was doing. And he's in complete denial. He said he's not an addict. And, if you let someone out like that again, they're just going to go out and re-offend. And it's really a shame because, his mother has the support getting these great attorneys, but in a way it just seems like she's part of the problem because, she's not motivating him to take these classes and to try to do better for himself. And that's a shame. And then they bring in the molestation case, and that scares me because, he brought it up himself. He really couldn't do himself any favors, bringing up something that's completely not relevant. And then, so I believe that of course he did it. He beat it because his mom got him another fancy lawyer. And I'm sure, like what happens in most of these cases, so because they even brought that up, I'm really angry. And this is not a good guy. This is a bad guy, frankly. And he needs to stay in there for the whole time. But it was funny listening to the attorney say he's locked up for 16 years on buying allergy medicine. But I think that, they had detectives on them. They wanted to get him. They wanted to lock him up, and they got him. And, it's interesting, though, to see how they said the judge wasn't opposed, which, what can I say about that? But don't do drugs, kids. And I'm glad. I'm glad at the board. I really like. This is an interesting combination having the three of them up there. Mr. Freeman and Mr. Mirabella. They really got in there. Yeah, really interesting to go through that experience of the attorney really doing his job well. But I'm glad with the outcome. Love to hear your comments.